Welcome to the BigMuddy podcast. I am your host, Drake Dury, and as you can see, Luke is not with us today. This is also the first day that we're filming on the new camera, so anyone who wants to watch this video, which would probably be a good idea, seeing that a lot of this stuff's going to be visual. You'll be able to see how I mount things with my camera gear and setup and all of that sort of stuff. So if you have questions, jump over to the YouTube, drop a comment. That'll probably be your best way of reaching me. But we'll get into this in just a second. But I do want to say thank you to all the people who bought shirts, bought hats, cups, all the above. But we could still use some more. Like I said, we just got this camera. We're putting some money down on some other cool stuff. And these trips are about to just take a big turn. It's going to look pretty cool. I'm excited for a more cinematic, nicer image quality, hunt. It's going to be really cool. So if you guys want to join a part and help me out with that vision, with that dream of making this, a YouTube channel that you can sit down with the family or sit down on a Sunday afternoon or a day after work and just sit there and watch just a put together film. That's what I'd like to do. So any little bit of that helps when you guys can go over to the site and purchase stuff. The link will be in the show notes, as well as some of the other stuff that we'll have here today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the meat and potatoes of this video. So naturally, I hunt everything. And with that being said, I have to change out gear constantly. Biggest thing is turkey, deer, elk, and I do a lot of fishing. So with that, we're just kind of going to show you what I have to tailor to and where certain pieces of gear come in. So let's start off with the main camera that I've used for most of my videos that you've seen, or all of the videos that you see on my YouTube right now. So up until recently, this was the star. This is the Sony what is it actually, before I do that? AX33. So Sony FDR-AX33. This camera, camcorder style camera, has helped me out so much. It is a good camera for what you're paying for it. I think I spent probably $800 on this thing back in like 2020. And, for what it was designed to do, it did a great job. Shoots in 4K. It is 20.6 megapixels. It goes in 4K. It has a 30 frames per second option and a 24 frames per second option. It has 1080p in 60 frames per second, 24 frames, and 30 frames. So you can do a little bit of slow motion with it. You can, I believe it's 40%. You can slow things down. It is difficult. I will say the image quality on this camera isn't the best because it is a 1/2.3 inch sensor. So it's pretty low on the sensor side of things. So it does struggle with image quality. That's going to be the big difference that you see on the camera that I'm using now compared to my past 3 podcasts. Not all of them have made it to YouTube, but the past podcast was. So if you want to jump over to that, I'll put a link somewhere, and you can jump over there and just kind of see the difference in image quality. But this camera did well. I love the feature on it, the night shot feature. That is that green that you'll see on a lot of my videos. It looks like the Bigfoot hunter videos that you used to watch as a kid or still watch now, but just those green night shot photos or video segments where I'm getting up in the morning in the truck and all that sort of stuff. That is all taken with this camera in the night shot. Another thing that I like about this camera is the fact that I can use this device right here. Now, this device is I really don't even know what to call it. It's a JC or JJC SR-F2. Basically, what it does is it has a wire that you can see I'm messing with right now. And this wire hooks into this little device, and it hooks into your camera. So I would hook it in the side of this Sony AX33. And what this allows me to do is it allowed me to turn off the camera, to zoom in, and to press record. So that was nice when I was up in the deer stand or on the ground filming turkeys. I could just reach my hand over to the tripod arm, and from there I could just have a few different buttons, and that would allow me to control this camera. Now, naturally, I was only able to do it in auto because of just like the focusing and if things were out of focus whenever I zoomed in. So all of that would have had to been done on auto. But it did allow me to make really quick adjustments and made things a lot quicker whenever I was trying to capture that shot. Whether that helped me in the moment that much, it kind of did, kind of didn't. In my deer hunting, it helps a lot more. In my turkey hunting, it's real, turkey hunting is one of those things where you can't move at that last minute, it seems like. So turkey hunting, it really didn't help because I really wasn't moving. I was really focused on getting that bird down. So this thing has its time and has its place. I like it. I use it when I'm doing my deer hunts. And this camera, I'm not getting rid of it. I do like the camera itself. The battery run on it, you can get batteries off eBay, and they'll run like 2 hours with this thing, which is awesome because I'll use one battery a day. If I'm really, really clipping along, I'll maybe use 1.5 batteries. But it really does well with the battery charge and all that sort of stuff. So you can use it that way. It also has a manual setting where you can do manual focus. You can do the exposure. You can do the aperture, shutter speed. You can do all of that stuff with this camera. It is relatively difficult to do quickly. That's half the reason why I bought this new camera, is because I have all these customized buttons that I can switch super fast and get the shot that I want quickly, and that's very important. But this camera, you can still do it, and if you learn this camera, you can use it really, really well. I never really took the time to learn it as well as I thought I did, but it's still a very good camera, and it honestly will be going on a lot of my hunts, especially the hunts that are like on the ground, like turkey hunts. This camera will be seeing a lot of action still in the turkey hunts. My deer hunts, I'll probably switch over to the bigger camera, and my elk hunts for sure I'll be switching over. And any sort of like where I'm able to film another person or I have a cameraman coming, all of that will be done on the main camera, which I will expose to you guys here in just a bit. But that camera is going to be doing 90% of the work on this channel for the future. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's kind of zoom on over to the other opposite side, is the GoPros. Now, GoPros are something that I don't use often at all. I don't like the wide angle shot on a GoPro, but fishing, it's huge. Or even in a second angle deer stand shot, GoPros can be very helpful. Sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't. It just depends on what I'm feeling for the day. A lot of times I'll use them though in the deer stand, just for that second, that other shot. The things that I really like about the new GoPros is the hindsight capability, where you can press the record button and it records 30 seconds before you press the record button. That is so handy for literally everything. because if you see a deer coming in, you can hit that button. It records 30 seconds prior. Or if you get a fish on, you can hit that button. It records 30 seconds prior so you can get the hook set and all that sort of stuff. That's awesome. That's great. Problem is, both of my GoPros don't have that. So these GoPros will probably be getting sold, both of them, in order to get one better GoPro. But let's go ahead and kind of walk through what GoPros I do have. So I have the GoPro Hero 4. I believe it's the black, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm almost positive it's the black. But there's the GoPro Hero 4. Here's the GoPro Hero 8. Both of them have their strengths and weaknesses. The strength really only for this GoPro 4 is the fact that I have no care in the world for what I put this thing through. These shots can be shots where I throw this thing in the water. I could dunk it underwater, get underwater shots. I could dunk this one underwater and get underwater shots, but I really don't care what happens to this one. So I'll stick this on a plane. If I was going to the bush of Alaska, I'll stick it on a car. I'll just do random stuff with this cheap GoPro, and for that reason, I like having it around because I'm not afraid for this thing to break or do whatever. But really, I don't ever use it just because the image quality on it is not the best, and it's just kind of, I don't know. I just don't really use it that often. I haven't really found a need for it. Now, this GoPro Hero 8, I use a lot more. I love the fact they have the screen on the back. It gives me a chance to see kind of what my shot's looking like. Both of these struggle with battery time. I mean, you can get an hour out of them with one battery, but basically you're recharging batteries constantly. So these are used for fishing trips. A lot of times when it's not when you have multiple times within the day to charge batteries, or you're going back to a hotel or a cabin where you have power. Now, if you don't have power, I'm really not taking any of these on a backcountry hunt. I might take it for some time lapse shots, but even then, it's really not something I really think about when it goes like backcountry, or even for some of my on the road trips into like turkey hunting country where I go out and travel around because I don't always have power out there. Recently, I've kind of changed that with a solar panel that allows me to charge up some stuff, but I tend to not take these. But I'm going to start, I believe, again, hooking it up to my gun to provide that extra shot in case the camera is not on the turkey, which many times it's not because it's hard to film turkeys. So I'll probably be taking that more on my gun. Now, with that being said, we'll move over to some of the mounts. This is a sportsman's mount. This mount I have mounted to my stabilizers. I've mounted to my gun barrel. You can mount to trekking poles. You can really mount it to anything. That's why it's called a sportsman's mount. You can buy the expensive one made by GoPro for like $70, or you can buy this one for like $25. I don't know what the brand is, but it's some cheaply made one off Amazon. It's done me great. Another mount I like is one of these. I think they're called like Jobies or something like that, but it's also a cheaply made one. But I only use this for my GoPros because it's not strong enough to be using on my nice camera, and the last thing I want is that thing to fall down and break, because that would break my heart. So I use this for just kind of latching onto branches and stuff and put my GoPro around it and getting some shots. I'll also put my GoPro on the end of this and do some vlogging with the GoPro in very specific times. The GoPro is a camera that I only use like 5% of the time for very specific shots, and so I have those just for that, just specific like underwater time elapse stuff like that. I'll do on the GoPro, but it's not my big thing I use. Okay, so now let's go to some more mounts we have. I have the hat cap mount. I don't really ever use that. I have the head mount and a chest mount. Chest mount naturally, as you've seen it before, perfect for fishing. I use that for fishing quite a bit, and that's the one I'll go to. I have a Montana trip coming up for doing some fly fishing and checking out some national parks that will be filming, and that chest strap will be on me quite a bit whenever I'm doing my fly fishing. So that's exciting. I'm excited for that trip. It's going to be absolutely beautiful, and I'm going to use that quite a bit. Now, something that I have done in the past for turkey hunting is use these backpack straps mounts. So what happens is it's a little Velcro that you hook onto your backpack strap, and then you mount your GoPro to it. Those create a really good kind of like walking through the woods shot. It also allows you to, this GoPro, you can go, hey, GoPro turn on, or GoPro turn on, or something like that. And you can whisper it to the GoPro and it'll turn on and start recording. So it's close enough to you, you can say that and do that if if you don't have hands free to like actually touch the button. It also allows you to, you know, have that always on you and walk around and use your hands as like kind of a hands-free um, filming device whenever you can't have the big camera on because you're sneaking up on a bird or in a stock or whatever. So this thing really does help in certain instances. Um, I might bring it back. I don't know. Um, in the past, what I've done is put the GoPro 8 on this backpack mount, and then I've put the GoPro 4 on the sportsman's mount and put that on my gun when I was turkey hunting, and that's worked really well. I've gotten some good shots off of that, and if I redo all that, that's probably what I'll take out most of the time, even though I like using that big camera at least 90% of the time. Okay, so moving on, I have a little case with SD cards in it. They're a little waterproof case. This one's an Allen one. It's just like some hunting brand one for your, what are they called? Trail cameras. I just use it because it's waterproof. You can really get like any kind that you want. I just use it because I found it and bought it one day, and it helps me keep things organized. And then right here, this is interesting. So naturally, I have this podcast. This is the Zoom PodTrack 4 with the Audio Technica. I think they're BPHS1s. And this allows me to do my voiceovers and stuff like that. So I use these for that sort of audio. But another audio that I use besides the shotgun mic, which I'll show you on the camera, is I use these Rode wireless mics. I have the Rode dual channel wireless. So what this does is you have the receiver, which hooks up to your camera, and you'll hook that onto the camera. And then you have these two transmitters, and basically you hook these up to your jacket of your shirt, or your collar of your shirt, or whatever. The jacket of your shirt, the collar of your shirt, or your collar of your jacket is what I meant to say. And I have two of them, so I can have two people running these wireless mics, and that feeds straight into the timed video. So what I can do is I can have a shotgun mic, and I can have these, and I'll show you how I hook that up. There is a better way to hook it up, but I'll show you how I hook it up. And I can record audio from a distance. I can also have the cameraman turn the camera around and talk to the camera and use that audio. So I really like the option to use the shotgun or these wireless mics. And these wireless mics come in so much handy while fishing when you can have these on and have your camera set up on the bank, like focus towards you, and you can like catch a fish and it can hear everything you're saying that the shotgun mic wouldn't catch because you're 40 yards away or 20 yards away or whatever away. You can hear with these transmitters. So that's what I really like about those. So I've gotten through the main camera, the Sony AX33. I've gotten through my wireless systems, my GoPros and all their mounts, and I've gotten through the little device I use to zoom in and zoom out whenever I have things in the deer stand. I'm going to go ahead and go grab my drone, and then we'll finish off with the main camera. Alright, so I got the drone here, and this is just a protective waterproof mini case, or not mini case, but just little case for this drone. I really like this. It keeps my stuff together. It has foam in it. I'd highly recommend getting yourself one of these, especially when you're working with something as fragile as these drones. But if we pop this open, you can see I have my drone and everything kind of in this foam stuff right here. And as I pull it out, I'll show you I've got the DJI Mini 3 or Pro Mini 3. I forgot what it actually is. Let's see. It's the DJI Mini 3 Pro is what this is. And I should have gotten the RC remote control with the screen in it, but I was a dummy and I did not get that. I regret that, but it would have been a whole lot better to get the screen built in to the remote control. But that's how it works. You live and learn. But it's still a really good remote control and good system. So it comes with the remote control, and then it just comes with the drone itself. And it's, a full-on 4K camera. I forget what the sensor is and the f-stop and all of that, but it takes really good images, and it also takes really good video. And I'll put some stuff up to show you what that actually looks like if you're watching the YouTube channel. But the best thing about it is how small and compact this thing is. It is tiny. I'd say it's probably about 6 inches by 3 inches. And it is awesome that it comes in that small of a package. If you want to stuff it in a pack really quickly and move down the river, or you want to just take it off on your hand outside your window of your car and get some driving shots, you can do that. This thing does not take up a lot of space, and on these trips, space is such a big deal when it comes to packing and all that sort of stuff. So I really enjoy that, like just how big this camera is. It's not big at all, and it makes things so easy to just quickly pop up and set it up in the air. I really like the fact that it connects really quickly to my phone and the app, and I really find that handy because I had the old Phantom 3 Standard or whatever. Thing was massive, and it took forever to connect, and the video wasn't that great, and it was huge. And this thing has really changed the game. I've been able to get some really cool shots, and I'm super excited to use this more in the upcoming videos I have planned, like the Montana video that's going to come out, after our trip to all these national parks. But this drone footage is going to be wild. So I'm excited for that. The only thing I would recommend is it comes with a battery with the drone, but getting 3 more batteries and the 3-port charging system for all 3 of those batteries. I don't have that yet, but I'm going to. The flight time on these is like 34 minutes, so it's not that much. But if you have, 4 batteries, you're looking at 2.5 hours of footage that you could possibly get. And you're really not flying a drone that long. For the shot that you want to get, you might fly it for like 7 minutes or so. So you can get a lot of better shots and a lot of shots with these drones. So it is good to have more batteries, but that's just as a backup to really help, get the shot that you want. So obviously, if you're better at it, you can do it a lot quicker than me. But I am still learning to do this drone a little bit better, so and maneuver it. So that is where I'm at with this drone. And then, last but not least, I'm going to talk about this camera. And while I talk about this camera, if you're watching the YouTube, I will use my old camera to shoot some B-roll of the new Sony A7 IV. That's the camera I decided to go with because it shot good video and it also shot really good pictures. So that was a big deal for me. So I'm going to get into that here in just a second. All right, so the Sony A7 IV. I also have that matched up with a Sigma um, aperture of 2.8 and a 24 to 70 lens. Of course, on the Sony E mount frame. So that lens is going to do 90% of the work here on the channel. Eventually, I'll get some other lenses, some longer range lenses that will be for like wildlife photography um, that you would see me posting to like the Instagram and stuff. Um, but I might get a 70 to 200 millimeter for some other footage and stuff like that you would see in like my fishing videos, in some of my hunting videos, and stuff where I would be the cameraman for someone else, or in stuff where I was trying to, I had a lot more time to set up a camera and walk out there and do something further away from the camera. And a lot of these hunts, I probably won't be using anything more than just this lens, simply because I am not going to be walking too far away from the camera or doing any too crazy shots, seeing that I am generally a self filmer or just kind of getting the shots by myself, no cameraman around. So most of the work will be done on this 24 to 70 millimeter lens. And I haven't shot with it enough. I just got it a few days ago to tell you how good it is. I've never used another lens as well, so I can't compare it to anything. To me, this is light years better than my old camera, and that has something to do with the sensor size, the crisper image quality, and all of that. So, kind of to get into that, the Sony A7 IV has a full frame sensor. And with that comes, just crazy good image quality. And that's something I'm most excited for coming up in the future. Now, it also has some better capabilities when it comes to frame rate and slow mo. It'll do 60 frames per second in 4K, and that also means that it'll do 24 frames and 30 frames per second in 4K. And then in 1080p, it'll do 24, 30, 60, and 120. So really slow footage that you'll be seeing will be coming from the 120 frames per second. But if I slowed down 4K by 40%, it would be looking really nice and smooth, and it'd be that high image quality that everyone wants to see. So this really gave me an option to make things a lot more cinematic and with that high image quality, which I really am blown away by how amazing it is compared to this old camera and cameras I've used in the past. It is crazy good. So I'm super excited about that. But it also when it does uh, what am I trying to say? When it does 4K 60 frames, it has an ASP C mode. I believe that's how they say it, which is a 1.5 times zoom or crop in. So this also gives me a little bit of extra leeway on certain shots because I'm able to quickly switch over to that mode. And yes, I'll lose a little bit of the image quality. It'll still be light years ahead of my old camera, but it also will allow me to zoom in extra, making my 70 millimeter a 105 millimeter, making a 200 millimeter a 300 millimeter, or the equivalent of that. Now, yes, I'm going to be losing a little bit of image quality, but it's just something that I like to bring up because it adds to the flexibility that I can actually shoot and what frames per second, what image quality, and different things I can do to allow better shots and make things a lot more cinematic and cool and closer up. So I just thought I'd bring that up because it does have a lot of customability or customizability or whatever that word I'm trying to say is. You can really customize this camera to the way you want. It has insane options for like white balance and exposure settings. I can take pictures that I never would have been able to take on any of these other cameras I've used or on my phone or anything like that. I can really slow down some pictures or speed up the shutter rate and take some very cool action shots or in the moment pictures, but I can also slow it down and take pictures of stars and stuff like that. So it was very versatile, and I really like that because I want to catch every moment I can of the outdoors and try to make it as special, as unique as I can and share it with you guys because that's the ultimate goal is to have something that you guys enjoy as well. So I really was excited to get this because I can tinker around with the exposure, the frame rates, the shutter speeds, the aperture, and really get the shot and convey the message that I'm wanting to convey. And I think that that's why I was so drawn to this style of filming is because I wasn't getting whenever I was filming my old shots or my old videos, it was kind of just me talking to a camera and going, "Hey, this is this, whatever," and then filming, the catches and the releases, and that was it. But now I'm starting to focus on taking you guys on a more edited journey to really show you how I'm feeling throughout this whole hunt or this whole fishing trip and really bring forth the beauty of the nature that I'm surrounded in. And I think that that's so important. So I really love this new age that I'm going into and really, testing out the limits of what I can do and growing and learning more. So that's why I am, just super excited to get into this sort of filming. Now, I will say that on top of this camera, I am running the Rode Micro Compact, just tiny little external mic. And with that, I have a little tail splitter. So I have a male end and two female ends. And what that allows me to do is plug in that male end to the audio jack and then take the two female ends and plug in my external my external microphone, the Rode Micro Video Pro or whatever, and then it also allows me to plug in my um, wireless mic, so I can run both of them at the same time. Now, if you were able to purchase the Sony mic that just plugs right into the hot shoe on the top of the camera, you would be able to just not have to have that little splitter, and you would just be able to plug in your wireless straight to the camera, and then the Sony hot shoe microphone would just, transmit its audio straight to the camera. So that's super cool, and I have that option for the future, which I will be doing at some point in time. But as of right now, I like the way that this thing is set up. Obviously, there's a lot more I have to learn, but I'm excited for the way things are going to go. So, for anyone who's asked about what cameras I'm using, what it looks like, my setup has been accumulated over the past, I think it's 6.5 years now. So I've been doing this for a long time. Don't expect to get to where I am right off the bat. I will say that the camera that I first started on was a GoPro Hero, and I was just putting it on. I think it's probably honestly the same uh, Gobi or whatever stick, and I was just turning it on myself and talking to it. Now the audio sucked. I I was using iMovie as my editing software. I didn't know how to transition. Everything was horrible. And I made some videos off of it, and it was bad. And I still have those videos to this day. And I look back on them and I see where I've came since then, and it has been crazy what's happened. And I would say that the elk hunting videos, which I'll post in the show notes, have been my favorite videos to watch, my favorite videos to edit, and I think it's a good indicator of where this is going in the future. But I can tell you right now that just knowing what I've come to know and learning all the things that I've learned, this next 5 years is going to exponentially grow, and it's going to look totally different than the last 5 years. And I'm super excited for that. I'm ready for a little bit of change, but I'm also super excited to take you through the way I feel throughout these hunts, the emotions I'm trying to convey, the emotions that I'm actually feeling on these hunts, and then portray the actual beauty that is the nature I'm surrounded in. So that is the plan. I'm super excited. And yeah, I thank you for watching. I thank you for listening. Check the show notes. It'll send you to the website where you can buy merch. It'll also send you to where you can watch this on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, check the description. You'll have all the links to all this stuff. Also on the podcast, check your show notes. You'll have all the links. And hope you guys have a great day, a great week. And we'll see you on the next one. And hopefully Luke will be able to join us. And we'll be talking about our last year's elk hunt. And not doing a gear this or a food this or clothing this. We're going to be talking about just the hunt. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be hilarious. There's a lot of funny moments that happen throughout this trip. And having Luke on the show is always fun for me to just kind of chat with and crack jokes up with. So thanks for watching this one. I'll see you on the next one. See you later.